Hi everybody. I'm going to go ahead and post this next video, and it's in my easy beginner's hat pattern made with a flat piece. I'm not really wanting to. I'm very hesitant because the way I recorded it, it's coming up on YouTube as pretty small. So when you click to enlarge it, it's pretty small. The one way, if I make it the way that you would view it normally on YouTube. So the way I'm going to have to post it for you to be able to view it the largest way possible is kind of up and down sideways, so you're kind of looking at me crooked. So if you have a way to lock your screen, that your device that you're using or something, and you can do that for now until I can reshoot this video, because it's the only way I really can get it out there quickly, and it's 2 days of work that I've got to redo. So I deeply apologize. This is the first time this has happened to me. I should have, well, if I downloaded it or uploaded it when I first did my first piece, like I wouldn't have did that. I mean, you record for 2 minutes, you're not going to go load it onto the video editor, view it and say, oh yeah, it's working out fine. You know it's recorded, so you know it's working out fine. But when I go to post it, that's when I found out about it. I mean, it's hours and hours and hours of work. So I will eventually repost, redo it, remake it at some point. But it's such a beginner's pattern. If you listen to the instructions, I say, and then for the part where I'm sewing it together to look, if you can tilt your phone and just lock it in position so you can look at it large. If you have a large screen, I mean, it's probably still big enough for you to see what I'm doing, so that might be okay. So I apologize greatly. I really do. I'm very hesitant to post it even, but like I said, I really want to get it out there, and I had people looking forward to it coming out, so I'm just down on myself today about it all, because when you work so hard on something and so excited about it, and then it's kind of like a letdown for you. So if anybody has any suggestions on what I can do not to have it happen again in the future, let me know. I think it had something to do with how my phone was on my tripod. It was facing downwards, and I think it rotated the recording part of it, and so it was recording in a smaller screen somehow. I don't know how any of that works, but I'll pay a lot more attention, believe me, the next time. I'll kind of do a run through and then try it and then say, okay, that's fine, and then do my recording. So write down what I did and keep it in mind for the next time. I apologize. Deeply sorry. So, I don't know. Hope you enjoy it nonetheless, and hope you enjoy your hat even more, because I'm telling you, it's just such an easy pattern. I just love making them in any stitch that you can imagine. So if you want to do single crochet, double, half double, if you want to do a twisted stitch somehow, or back loops only, I mean, it's just, the possibilities are endless, and they'll all come out wonderfully. So I hope you enjoy your day. Stay safe. Subscribe if you will. I'll get better, I promise. Take care, guys. Enjoy the video. Hey, everybody. Would you love to crochet your own hat, even if you knew only how to cast on and do a single crochet, or maybe a half double crochet, or even a double crochet? Like, seriously, this one's half double crochet, and it's crocheted in a flat. So if you know how to do a dishcloth or blanket and you don't know how to crochet in the round even yet, like, it's such a beginner's pattern, just watch my video on how to make this. This one I made long enough so I have a cuff folded, so when I'm talking about that, but you can, sorry, I'm snuggling with my puppy here. He's just having a little snooze. He loves being right next to me. So, and then, or you could have a little bit of a slouch here. Look, let's fold this down. Hear my birdie in the background. You'd have a little bit of slouchy. I know some people like that kind of look. You can make it even slouchier if you like, but I did it for the cuff because I want to have a brim over my ear. So you could have it like, just wear it like this. It's the style as well. Or you can just make it like this without the brim and just not make it as tall. So like for an adult hat, it's like 8 inches in height. You'll see I explain it in the video, so just watch the video. I did this after the video, of course, but I'm putting it at the beginning so you can see what the hat turns out to look like. I prefer the brim though, honestly. I love it with a brim because I'm in Canada and it gets pretty cold up here in the winter. So I like to have my ears covered. I have so many of these. They're just so easy. Whip them in no time whatsoever. As long as it takes you to crochet an 8 by maybe, what was mine, 19 inches wide. So if crochet a rectangle that size, and I'll show you how to do it. Coming right up. Stay tuned. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And give this video a thumbs up if you like it, or if you're going to create one. I'd love to see them. Bye-bye, guys. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Knotty Yarnies. It's Barb here, going to teach you another tutorial on what I call my easy square hat. It's actually a rectangle, but don't tell anyone. What you'll need today is a tape measure. Okay, and with the tape measure, you're going to need the measurement from your eyebrows to the middle of the top of your head. That measurement. It doesn't have to be a perfect measurement. So most adults are between 8 and 9 inches for this. So I go with 8. My head's about a medium, I would say, about 22 inch. So I do an 8 inch, but I also do a 3 inch brim on the top. So I'm going to be adding 3 inches. So I'm going to make this starting chain 11 inches long. You'll understand more as we go. So in order to do that, we need a tape measure. We need also a pen to write down our notes in case we want to make another hat one day. We want to make sure we're taking good notes so we can reference back to our pattern for this specific yarn and the hook. You want to write every step of the way down for yourself. You want to have a ball of yarn. I'm using impeccable loops and thread, and I might need 2 of these. It's only 192 yards, just depends. I haven't used it yet, so I'm not sure how many I'm going to need, but I do have 2 of this color. You're going to need a stitch marker and a needle. I'm sorry about my dog barking. A needle for sewing, of course scissors. You're going to need a hook size that pertains to the ball of yarn you're using. You can use a chunky yarn, just make sure your hook size is pertaining to that, and then 1 millimeter above that for your cast on row. So you're gonna, mine is says 5 millimeter to use for this yarn, and so the 6 millimeter will be for my cast on row only. So we've got everything ready to go. Let's start. So I found the middle of my ball, and another thing, in case I need the second ball, when I go to reach into the second ball, I want to pull from the inside or the outside, whatever I did for the first one. So the sequence, the rotating sequence, will be the same colorways coming through in the same sequence as the first ball. You could do it backwards if you like a different pattern. So I'm going to go where there's a color change. I'm going to wrap twice, back over front, and drop. Insert my larger size hook, so that's for me the 6 millimeter, and tighten on your hook. So we're going to start chaining, and we're going to keep track of how many chains we're doing. So remember that I said I'm going to do 11 inches so that I can have a brim. If you want just a tight fitting hat, or maybe you want, instead of a brim, you want it slouchy, you could do 10 or 11 as well, or even just a 9 for a smaller slouchy hat. Just depends on your measurement. The smaller or the tighter you want it, the smaller the number will be, but do that measurement. That's easy peasy to do. So I'm not sure how many stitches or chains I'm going to have to make in order to get the 11 inches. So that's why I'm using a larger size hook.
You also want to use like loose chains, not too tight. So here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I pinch after each 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I pinch 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm not sure. Do you think that's long enough? Let's check. So I put the first chain on the 0 and just lay it down flat. I'm at 6 inches right now. So, and I'm at 20 stitches. So I'm probably only going to need maybe another 15 stitches. So I'll try 15 more stitches. 1, 2, whoops. 1, see I could tell how many if I drop a stitch. 2, 3, 4, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. See how loosey-goosey I'm making it, eh? Because I don't want it, I know when I start stitching in it, it's going to stretch them out a bit. So put the first one on the 0, and this one, it comes to 10 inches. So I'm going to want to add another inch, so I can just cheat and see how many stitches there are in one of the inches. So I think I've got about 4. So if I had 5, because that'll be a turning chain then. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got 40 stitches now, and I'm at 11 inches. It's 1 stitch over the 11 inches, but that'll be my turning, because I'm going to go in the second chain from the hook. So I'll be right at 11 inches. So I will write down that with a number 4 yarn and a 5mm or 5mm hook, because that'll be the project. So I know I have to increase the hook to the chain, and 40 chains. I believe that's what I got, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 39, and 40. Correct. So 40. So after 40, all we're going to do is crochet. You could do whatever stitch you want. This is just like my slipper pattern. If you wanted to do a half double crochet hat, do a half double crochet. If you want a single, do single. If you want double, do double. I personally find the half double crochet stitch really works well, because what we're doing is we're going to go in the back loops only on the second, or no, yes, on the second row. So it makes like a really cool pattern. So you might not get the pattern as well with the single crochet. It might be all right with the double, but the half double is a little bit warmer of a hat and a nicer look, I find. So you're still going to go in the second chain from the hook and half double crochet into that stitch. I'm just going to use, you know what, I forgot to change to my smaller hook again. I always forget. Okay, I'm down to my 5mm. So I'm going to half double crochet, and I'm going to do in the back bump. If you don't know what the back bump, how to find it, just look up another video on how to crochet into the back bump after the chain, so that'll show you. But you can just crochet normally into the first row, no problems. It doesn't matter. This is not a necessity, because you're going to sew up the hat anyway, and you're not going to notice this at all. So just crochet right across. So because I have 40 chains and I crocheted into the second chain from the hook, I'm only going to have 39 stitches across. So when I get to the end, I'll meet you back. Okay, I'm on my last stitch now, so I'm just going to half double crochet into that last stitch. And now I want to measure just to make sure that it's going according to plan. So remember, I wanted it to be 11 inches. So I'll lay the first, or the last stitch, I guess it is, on 0, and I'll pull it, but not stretch it. Just lay it down so I have my measuring tape, and it's a little bit like a 1/4 inch over the 11, I don't know if you can see it there, 1/4 inch past the 11 inches. I'm okay with that. That just means a little bit wider of a brim, and I'm good with that. And I love the way the pattern's kind of going on this. So from, this was row 1, now row 2, and every row after, all you need to do is chain 1 and turn, and half double crochet into the back loop only. So that's the one furthest away from you, of that chain that's underneath, or that stitch that's underneath. So see that there's a V, you're going in, you're yarning over and going in the back loop only, and you're doing that all the way across. And for me, that's 39 times going into the back loop only all the way across, and this is every single row now. So I'll meet you up at the back end of my row. Okay, I'm coming up to the end of the row. Just 3 more stitches to go. 1, 2. Now you can go in just the back loop only if you wish, the last one, or go through both so it's more of a secure stitch. I usually tend to go through both, so it gives it a more finished, polished look. Chain 1, and you're going to repeat that last row over and over. Do you see the pattern that it's giving? Beautiful, eh? Like the stitch work. That's going to be lots and lots of rows of up and down like this. This will be going up and down your head, and you're going to have a fold over. So yeah, that's going to look spectacular. So you're going to continue doing this. Chain 1, half double crocheting in the back loop only across, and in both loops at the final stitch. You're going to continue that until it's the measurement of around your head. So if your head's a 22 inch like mine, you're going to continue these rows until your rectangle is 22 inches across, and then I'll meet you back here once it is. Happy crocheting until then. Hi everyone. So I hope that was mindless but fun for you too. I ended up finishing mine, and I made it 19¼ inches long. That was because I just fit this part around my head and from the back like you would a hat. So I put it around the back of my head and pulled it towards the front, made sure I can reach around my forehead with the ends, and that really helped. It stretches. It's quite a stretchy material, so you don't want to have it so that you do the 22 inches that your head is, because it'll actually just slip off your head. So you can also, another way to do it, if you know that your head, the person you're going to make it for, is 22 inches, you can measure. Okay, I'll lock my measurer in here, and you can see where the stretch ends. See how there's a 22? It could stretch even further than that, but I didn't want it to get too holy with the stretch. But I know right now that 22 inches is going to stretch right too. So I want it to be pretty tight on my head. Not skin tight, but just pretty tight in place. So I stopped at that. I didn't really keep track of rows. Maybe I should have. I'm not sure. Let's count. So I started here. So this is row 1. We'll go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 30, 2, 4, 6, 40, 42, 44, 46. I did 47 rows. And that's, remember, with worsted weight. I had the 2 balls. Remember, I started with 2 because I wasn't sure. I have just a little wee bit left. So of this, so this will be enough to make my pom-poms, or pom-pom, not pom-poms, just pom-pom when I'm done. So this is, at this point, I still left the yarn attached. So what I wanted you to do when you get to that point is leave a very long tail, however, like maybe 2 feet long, just to make sure you're comfortable. Okay, then we want to just pull it through your end lock it in place. Then thread your yarn needle. Okay, and you're going to take end for end. Doesn't really matter which way you do it, because you can, if you do it the wrong side, you could turn it right side out afterwards, or vice versa. So they're both pretty similar, just because it just depends what kind of look. If you want this kind of line on the outside, this kind of line on the outside. I like the thicker side, but when you fold up, remember the other side is what you're going to see for the brim. So I kind of like this to be on the outside. So when I sew, I'm going to sew this way. And it doesn't matter, honestly, it really doesn't. What you want to just make sure you're doing is sewing stitch for stitch, so that it equals, so we're not going to be uneven here whatsoever. That'll be the after. What we're going to do first, though, is we're going to take this long yarn and we're going to weave it in and out all around the top, as just like grabbing one, going through like each stitch. Doesn't matter if you just catch, it's kind of like my slipper pattern where you're just wanting to do it right on the very edge. You're going to weave in and out because you're going to pull it closed to make it cinched at the top for your hat. So it's cinched your head. You could do like I'm doing, do 2 or 3 stitches at a time. Or you could do just 1 at a time as well, but just take your time with it, making sure you're not going too far down. You don't want to go too far down here, and then that takes away part of your hat. So you want to make sure you're getting as close to the border as you can. Another way I've also did this might give you an idea, is instead of doing the sewing up already, if you wanted to for this one or your next one, is do a single crochet row across, and then start doing some single crochet rows, but decreasing every so many rows to bring it kind of in on an angle, so you up here can gather what we're doing here. That's just another idea, but for anyone that's new, that will be difficult to do. But this is just I just want to keep it as simple as possible, and for this for me makes the easiest hat I've ever found, the easiest thing I've ever tried. So we'll try her here. You can also, I guess, stitch up this. If you were to do the other way, this way first, you can also do this way last also. It wouldn't hurt. I just, for filming's sake, I'm sure this shows better when it's laying flat, and then you'll see the cinch up part a little bit easier as well. Like, see, get the idea. I'll pull. You see how it's cinching up? That's how it's gonna go. That's why I wanted you to leave a long tail, so we can do it all at once and then pull. The pulling to see it in the fat at the end is really the neat part, to see it all come together. But we're going to keep going right till we get to the end. I'll meet you back here at the end. You don't need to see me do all the rest. Okay, so I'm getting right up to the end here. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to get through that last little knot. I want to make sure I'm in there. All right, so we pull that. What we're going to do next is we're going to pull it tight, very gently, because you don't want to break your yarn and snap it in there. If that happens, you're going to have to just cut another piece of yarn and do it all over again. But if your yarn is pretty sturdy, mine seems to be holding out pretty good, you want to go pull it as tight. You could do it as you go as well. So now we're at the part where we want to join it to the end, where you started from. So you want to start it in that first knot. Hopefully you can see that, where it starts to pucker. You want to join it in that area so it completes it. Now you're going to see that it's going to have a hole, even when that's why I like putting a pom-pom on these hats, See how it has a huge hole? But you're also going to go sewing back and forth. I like to do one more time from the one end to the other end to lock it in place. And the one to the, even 2 or 3 times just to make sure it's in there sturdy. Then you're going to come across and go over here, 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 here. Keep doing it. I'll show you what I mean. Just going through the very top stitches and going so you're not going down too far. Sorry, it's hard to kind of explain it. And you're pulling as you go. See how that closed it up? Now we'll start over on this side and pull up a couple of strands and go on this side. And make sure you're hitting some yarn. And you're pulling again. And see, it's really closing it up. Well, you've probably about, I would do 6 or 7 times. Really depends on the thickness of your yarn. If you have a chunkier yarn, you might not need to go as many times as we would with the worsted, because the worsted kind of leaves a little bit of a hole. Like I said, that's great to use for a pom-pom on this project. Not that you need one, because if you just keep going, keep working it and have a little patience, darning your end in and around that hole to close it up. Now look, you can't even see. Oh, I got one little spot there that I'm going to have to work with. So I'll go in here and go up a few stitches on the other side. Okay, and pull that closed, and you shouldn't even see that gap anymore. No, you don't even see it anymore. See, it's all closed up. But I'm going to, just for good measures, I'm going to go through and do 2 more. Let's get the needles getting a little tight in there, but I would much rather it be tight and do it securely so that I don't have to go back and fix it once I start wearing it and realizing it that there's a hole there. So one more time here. Yeah, that's really nice. I can feel that it's really lots of stitches and it's really thick, and I'm pulling each time. What I do, because this is the beginning tail, so we'll work back over to the beginning tail, and I'm going to knot it just to hold it securely in place. And then I'll turn it in, make sure it goes on the inside and darned in. I just like to do this for security purposes. I don't usually like putting knots in my work, but there, I'll make sure it goes on the inside, and I'll make sure that it gets darned in there so you don't notice that. Now that we're done that and I knotted that, you're going to go to your open piece here, and you're going to put them together and make sure they're together. If you need to use safety pins or hair clips or bobby pins or stitch markers, you could use them every 10 stitches or so just to make sure you're keeping nice and even. But normally I just keep making sure it's still even at the bottom. And you start by putting up the stitch, like there's going to be the V's. So you're going to stitch on the one closest to you, and then on the other side, you're going to go on the one the furthest away from you to stitch it. I mean, it doesn't really matter, honestly. If you're going to do it the other, like just a mattress stitch back and forth, that'll work. You won't really notice the difference. As long as you're sewing stitch to stitch. That's the point here. It's just sewing it up. Okay, just keep going until you get down here, stitching in the stitch. Where am I here? See this one closest to me, and then into the one furthest away from me. And then I start on the same thing on this one. I come back to this side. I'm always starting on the one closest to me. So continue that down, and I'll meet you back at the bottom. Now I'm coming up to the bottom, my last couple stitches. Making sure they even out, if not, manipulating it to make it work. Now I'm making sure to tack in this one, just to make sure that it has a nice spot at the bottom end, so you don't really notice a gap down there. All right, and there we are. So now we'll cut, and we will darn our ends in. remembering to always darn them in on the side that is the inside of your hat so nobody sees the stitches. So I always go back and weave back and forth the length of my needle 3 times. So there's 1, not pulling it too tight, and 2, and 3. Catching lots of different yarns. Sometimes like this I will go back down because the downward motion, like it, if I leave it upwards, might pull out a little bit, so I just tend to do that. It depends on whatever garment you're using. Okay, now I'll just have to darn this end in. This one I'll darn in really well. And remember, I had that other tail there as well. So I'll have 2 up here. Actually, what I might do is leave my tail, because if I'm going to sew a pom-pom on there, I might want, oh, I guess that is the tail. If I want to put a pom-pom on there, I might want to have this knotted on the pom-pom to keep it attached even better. So this is the inside. So this is the outside of the hat. Now look at that. We did a hat. Now you can wear it like this, or how I wanted to was to have a brim and wear it like this. Now I'm just going to make a pom-pom and then I'll show you how it looks on me. Look at how the pattern turned out pretty, eh? I love how the yarn the variegated yarn just made it into a nice pattern for myself. Okay, I'll be right back and show you what it looks like with a pom-pom on.
Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And don't forget to look for the Christmas in July fairies videos too. I have one, so if you look in my list of channels and looking for the Christmas in July fairies, and don't forget to subscribe, because you'll need to be a subscriber in order to win. So I wish everybody luck on that one. Until next time, bye-bye.